in every bottle.
We're live.
We're live. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, you're live.
Nice job, Chuck. Thank you for making sure we had something in our glass.
It's another Monday night. We're missing somebody. You could turn that down because I hear an echo.
I
having a go.
Everything I say, I'm saying twice.
You're saying twice.
Make sure, yeah, we've had some microphone technical difficulties, camera difficulties.
Yeah, so if
I'll leave
anybody
out
has
today.
trouble hearing us, please let us know because we have some microphone challenges, but we think we fixed it and should be able
Enough
to
that you
get
should be able to
by.
hear us.
And we're good to go. So excited to be here with you again for another Monday. We're not so excited that we don't have Ken with us.
I know.
There's an empty seat
Where's
over
Ken?
there.
I didn't even notice he wasn't here.
He's traveling again.
Traveling again.
He's on the road somewhere, I think, right?
He's in Georgia, or maybe he's
in Buffalo.
he was in Georgia yesterday.
He drove from
He's
Atlanta.
a man about town. Yeah,
He loves to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
He's
he's
on
on
some-
actually. He drove U-Haul.
Oh.
He's on some family business.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but nonetheless, we're going to have fun with you tonight. We have some exciting stuff to share. Before I do that, just a couple things. If you're here for the first time, thank you. We appreciate it. Please consider subscribing to our channel, and you can do that right underneath Chuck. Right
Over
under
in
Chuck,
the corner
if you're on
there.
YouTube. And if you're on Facebook, there's a little bell on the screen. If you click that bell, you'll subscribe to our Facebook channel. If you subscribe, you'll get notice every time we go live on Monday night at 5:30. Every Monday night. Almost anyway.
We've missed a couple.
last
We always do something. We always post something at 5:30. If
Something,
we
yes.
can't be live with you all, we do a throwback video or something else.
Best of.
But we also go live sometimes not at 5:30 on a Monday. So especially if you subscribe, then you'll get a notification if we go live from somewhere
pretty
else, some other.
obscure places.
Yeah, those are the
Yeah,
more
those are
exciting
fun.
ones sometimes.
Yeah. And if you like what you hear today, please like the broadcast, share it with your friends if you think your friends would appreciate it. And if you are joining us, we'd love it if you'd let us know in the comments that you're here. Say hello, let us know what you're drinking, and ask any questions that you like. We'll do our best to get to the questions live here on the show. If we can't get to them live, we'll always do our best to get to them after the show in the comment section. So either YouTube or Facebook, you can make comments, ask questions. So please do so. And thank you again for joining us for another Monday Night Live. So
This is a drinking show. Right?
this is a drinking show.
You're supposed to be. We're
Love
always
the
sitting
show.
up here drinking, so you're supposed to be joining us with whatever you're enjoying and drinking too. That makes it more fun for all of us, right?
Yeah. So let us know what that
Our
is.
jokes
Yeah.
much better too, particularly at the end of the show.
The jokes get better as the
We
show
get a
goes
lot
on.
funnier by the end
Yeah,
of the show.
or not. I'm not sure how it works, but
Got a mix. We've got Priscilla's having some Ozark tonight, one of our newer white wines. Definitely one. If you all haven't been in for the past month or so, that's about how long Ozark has been out. It's a new white wine. And then Matt is drinking some root beer from Lenox, Mass.
Wow, very, very good, Max.
And it seems like I almost crossed paths with Priscilla. I was over in Vermont, and she was supposedly a hop, skip, and a jump away from where I was over the weekend. I was there escaping the craziness that is Motorcycle Week at its 100th anniversary. And I was glad to be out of town for a couple days.
It was a little loud, especially for you living right downtown. It's a little rough. I can understand.
It's rough, yeah. It was so nice to come back with it being nice and calm.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good week here. I guess, we had a fun mix of people. There are some folks that come up every week or every year for Bike Week, and they always come to Hermit Woods for a wine tasting. Yep.
Well, that's good.
There's some.
Because
It's
I remember
an
when
annual
we
trip
first
for a lot of people.
started, The motorcycle week was pretty much dead.
Yeah.
The winery. We didn't attract much
It's still a quiet week for us. I like to refer to it as a beer holiday. People are looking for beer and raucous music, and they're looking for it mainly down toward the Weirs. So, and the local folks like me usually get out of town or don't come into town.
Yeah.
So it is a slower week, which is fine. It's good for those who it's good for.
Yeah. And now with that over and schools being out, I think it's
busy time.
It's summertime. Yeah.
It's summertime.
Today was we were pretty busy all day today.
It's Juneteenth.
That's true. Yeah, it's a holiday for a lot of people. So
Kids are out, for sure.
Speaking of summertime, that's a hint to next week's show.
yeah. Summer
is in session.
Summer's in session. So a little teaser for next week.
We have a release
Yeah.
of a new
New
wine.
wine coming out.
It's not a new wine to the winery. We've made it before, but we haven't had it in a number of years.
Oh, no.
And I had some, and it's delicious. But we shouldn't get into
Yeah,
that.
that's
But
all-
tune in
that's all
next
next
week, and you'll learn all about summer in session.
We did get some more news today from our growers. I don't know if everybody.
Oh,
I hope good
yeah.
news.
We're really we're fortunate that we have a warehouse full of wine. I think actually, but we're going to be getting into that quite a bit. We've lost our apples.
Just about 100%.
Just about 100%. It's devastating. So any of you out there that have CSAs or orchards, I know they're reaching out and looking for support. Scott Farm is doing a CSA for next year.
Oh no, it's
GoFundMe.
CSA. It's CSA. They're looking for you to get into their CSA that you can use in the fall for whatever they have available then. And but they want you to, if you can, buy now. Anything you can do to infuse some cash into their businesses.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
80,
devastating.
90, and in some cases 100% loss of
Yeah.
peaches, apples. The grape crops across New England have been wiped out. And I'm
Give
sure
grapes, right? So what?
Yeah.
Right. It's why the New Hampshire wineries are going to have to import grapes for their production.
The good news for most of the wineries in New Hampshire is a lot of the wineries already do import a lion's share of their grapes for their products. But really hard hit is Flag Hill, which is almost 100% locally grown, and they lost, I think, almost everything. So it's going to be a tough year in the farm and wine business.
We'll have to be doing some creative improvising. You know, Ken's talked about maybe doing some more meads and some other things. We'll figure out something. We'll keep product on the shelves for you all, but that might mean we'll have some new things, and we might lose out on some of our staples for a little bit, but we'll do what we can.
Yeah, we've never had anything this big. I mean, even the blueberry crop in Maine is down. They got wiped too.
Really?
Yeah. So everything's we're going to be affected by this for sure.
Wow, I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, no, Ken told me that last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever. So.
So enough of this down and depressing news.
No, this is
let's get into the subject.
We have a subject to
We have a subject. Look at
So this one,
this
so we're-
is
we're
going to be
missing-
one of my favorite shows because we get to drink beer and wine as part of our show today.
Yeah. So this one, so we've had this as a topic a couple times already,
yes.
sort of over the course of the journey here. But we're talking again this week about our collaboration with Stoneface Brewing. So this started, it must have been a year ago.
Almost a year.
About a year ago, we did a fantastic barrel trade. If you haven't been a part of this yet, we did a great barrel trade with Stoneface. We brought them a couple of our red wine barrels, and in return, four barrels. And in return, they gave us, I assume, four barrels that they had used for their beer. And we have created 4 products out of that wonderful collaboration. So we've got 2 different red wines and 2 different beers.
And the reason we're doing the show again, because we have explored this a little bit. First of all, we have the beer here to taste.
Yes,
In the
they're
past,
finally.
we did not have the beer. They released it at a release party on the 10th, June 10th, which Ken and I were able to go down and be part of. And so we have 2 beers from Stoneface that were made in Hermit Woods wine barrels. And we have tasted these as well, but we haven't tasted them since they've been put into bottle. So these are the 2 wines on this side that we are releasing at our collaboration party this Saturday.
Yeah, so if you're in the area, we're going to have a release party this Saturday from 12 to 5 or so. We're going to have both these beers and these wines available for tasting down in the cellar and you'll be able to purchase these bottles for the first time in the tasting room.
12 to 4.
12 to 4.
So, yes, and so it's going to be fun. We're going to do something a little different. If you come in on Saturday, you get to come on down to the cellar and spend some time with Ken and I, and you will sample the wine, sample the beer, and you'll get a little tour, mini tour of the wine cellar. So, and all of that's complimentary. So you just come on down and visit us on Saturday, and you can try some of these really interesting and new products that we're releasing.
I think
selling the beer here?
We will be.
yes, we don't have very much of it, so we'll be sampling some, but we'll be to consume here in the eatery. So yeah, we do have some bottles for that.
Off on the shelf at
I imagine at Stoneface, it's probably a pretty limited release, so you may have to get it directly from the brewery, I would expect.
That would be
Yeah, and we do actually, one of the brewers from Stoneface is going to be here for a little of time, some of the time on Saturday as well.
Yes.
So that'll
should we
be
try some of this beer?
yes.
I think so.
I think we
should put
gotta-
that wine
okay.
glass down.
So
I know.
we're going to get to this
We're
later.
going to get to it, but we should start with beer.
Yeah. We should start here. So we have a red ale.
Which one was
It's called Amalgam in the Red Scare barrel.
That should be the second one you tried.
And then we have,
They're both amalgam.
this is Amalgam again. It's elderberry wine barrel. And it's Saison aged in freshly emptied Hermit Woods elderberry wine barrels for 1 year. Floral and funk, white flower, subtle blueberry.
Okay, so
Bio
saison.
finishes with a 3-month rest conditioning in the bottle, brewed in collaboration with our friends at Hermit Woods. Store upright in the refrigerator. I think we've done that. This is cool. Yeah, so there it is. It's the saison. And we're going to open it and we're going to drink it. We'll show this beer.
I'm very excited for
Who
this
knows
beer.
how to drink a beer?
You haven't had it.
I have not had it yet. Yeah, you got to try it down at
I've had
Stoneface.
yeah.
I have not.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
Thank you.
I think this is up your alley.
Yes, these are my styles of beers
The next
already.
one's even more up your alley.
Yeah, I think that's true. We're in our studio audience.
We have a live audience.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, so this is the saison. A little bit lower alcohol.
Ooh yeah.
5.3%. Yep, there it is. So this is up Marika's alley.
So,
Yeah,
right off the
sour.
bat, you get some sour funk on the nose.
Yeah.
These can be so this type of beer sometimes
I like the snows though, and I'm not usually crazy about the sour funk on a beer, but this one's really really nice. I had this the other day when I was down in Stoneface, and I really enjoyed this. This was the one that really struck me the most.
yeah. I mean sometimes this type of beer it has the sour funk in the flavor is sometimes a little like chemical. I don't know. I can't quite pinpoint what it is, and sometimes it works and it hits and it's good, and sometimes it's just it's weird and it's off. This one,
This one's earthy.
yeah.
It's very earthy. It's very
Very nice.
like a barnyard kind of character.
Earthy thing. And so it's very sharp aromatically, but as a matter of taste, it's actually very soft.
Yeah,
And it's a very well-rounded, very well-rounded beer, and that right doesn't taste nearly as sharp as it does in the roller case to me right now.
Yeah. It's not like a mouth puckering sour
No,
at
no,
all.
not at all.
It's just like a little bit
I
of
sort of expect it
little
to
funk.
be kind of wince when you taste it, and it's really not.
Kind of like when you go to eat a pickle and your mouth secretes.
Right.
That's actually what
you
I'm-
know it's coming.
Yeah.
That's actually part of why I'm wondering. So I put a few different things on our little nibble board today, because thinking trying beer means we get to some things might work that don't always work. So I do have pickles on it.
Would work with this, I would think. Give it a try.
I wonder about that. I mean, what do you eat?
Ooh yeah. Kind of brings out the sour a
You
little
want
bit.
to hear a pickle?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I don't think so.
I can do it.
I can do it, but I'm not, it's not helping each other. The
It
pickle is
makes
getting
it-
better. And
it makes the
actually,
beer a little more sour.
The beer is actually being diminished by the intensity of the
Mm-hmm.
pickle. I can do it, but I wouldn't.
We do have a slight aside from the audience. We did post this at some point last week. So our loyal audience members, Matt and Lynn, are in a photo contest currently for their barge trip in France or Belgium. They have all gone on these fantastic barge trips, and the company that does it is doing a photo contest, and they do have a fantastic photo of Lynn and her sister on those boats. We have the link posted from a post earlier this week. If you go on and vote for Matt and
Well, I
Lynn.
bet you if Matt's on, you could post. the
Matt,
link
yes,
here
that's
at
true.
times.
Matt, if you want to post the link, you can vote every day for this contest.
Well,
And
I do.
their picture was far ahead the winner, and then somebody else must have started campaigning because there's another one that is ahead right now. So we have work to do
Yeah. Good
to
luck
support
with
Matt and
that.
Lynn.
We're working for you. Hope for the best.
So that's a little aside for us.
It's a long contest too. You got to go till August.
It's till August, I know. Whew.
Yeah.
But we'll keep working.
So before we go on to the next beer, let's talk a little bit about what's involved here that got us to this place. Actually, Ken and Dan Kiesel, who is the brewer at Stoneface, hooked up, like we said, about a year ago. And Dan came up to the winery and did a pretty thorough tasting through all the barrels. He tried the different wines that were in the different barrels, and came up with characteristics that he thought would be interesting to bring back to the brewery and experiment with. And what he chose for this particular beer was a couple elderberry barrels. And his instructions to Ken were to, when he removes the elderberry that was in the barrel here at the winery, to leave whatever liquid didn't get pumped out during the pump out. Normally we would give those barrels a thorough rinse before we go on to the next use, but Dan wanted some whatever's residual in there to linger in there. And then the key was that it had to be delivered immediately, because an empty barrel is just ripe for opportunities for little boogers to get in there, bacteria and other types of yeast. And so it was basically empty barrel, put it in the truck and drive to Stoneface, and that's what they did. So this beer was aged in 2 of our elderberry wine barrels. Our elderberry wine is made with a blend of elderberry and blueberry. There was no blueberry in the barrels. It was the blend happens after.
Oh
in
yeah,
this
so it's
case.
just the elderberry wine.
So it's just 100% elderberry wine that went into this beer, and it's fun. It's the sour beer movement is on fire, as I'm sure Marika can talk much more eloquently about than I, because I hadn't been a big fan of sour beers in general, but I've enjoyed some. There's some out there that are you got to lean into them a little bit, and like anything, if you give it time and you give it space, you can develop a taste for it. I mean, a good example is probably none of us. There might be exceptions, but very few people have their first beer and go, "Wow, that was delicious!" when you're a teenager, right? It's an acquired taste, but you drank it anyway because you needed to hang with your buddies and you knew you were going to get a buzz off of it, so you drank the beer anyway. And lo and behold, after drinking enough of it, you end up acquiring a taste.
Yeah, it's a fun thing.
Yeah, it is. It's true with wine too. That same thing happens. Most teenagers and young adults who try wine early on tend to sort of poo-poo dry wine, especially dry wine. Wine in general, but especially
We're like the
dry wine.
lighter, sweeter rosés and type, or
Yeah.
white Zinfandel is sort of the college classic.
I actually remember beer. I think actually the first thing that I think I had as a kid was that I really drank the whole thing was a cider, hard cider. Interesting. And then I think, well, that's kind of strange.
Well, not for here in New England.
Yeah,
New
that's
Hampshire,
true.
Right?
Yeah, but it wasn't. I don't remember. I mean, my dad didn't drink it. Nobody in my family was a hard cider drinker.
How did you come across it?
Well, I was in the refrigerator. I was
So
13.
your dad was.
And I was home alone. I'm like, oh, what's that? I'll drink it. Oh, that's good. I actually really liked it. And then it was
So your dad wasn't involved with getting it there.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. I have no idea where it came from, but I just a funny memory. I just came.
I don't know. My dad drank dark. He liked porters, and so I remember him giving me a taste of it when I was younger. And, that's
I remember
gross.
when I was like 10 or 12, or whatever, my dad gave
nasty.
Disgusting.
First beer I liked was a shandy. The summer I was 21. I remember liking the Line and Kugel's summer shandy was the first beer I liked.
Well, I gotta give this a thumbs up. This is really enjoyable.
Total thumbs up and totally unique. I'm Trisco, so the elderberry barrel. So where does that? Where are we getting in the flavor of this? I know we spent some time with it. My guess is that as a matter of flavor, it's really pretty strongly bred in barnyard, but there's that softness and a little bit of a different kind of acidity in there, something that I'm just going to make up in my mind is something to do with the elderberry. Because elderberry is a very strong, almost a bitter kind of thing that has that same sort of acidity that a sour would have. So it's kind of like the pickle story. It's congruent with a sour. I can understand why they would choose to do that. But it's not like there's an elderberry flavor in here.
No, and I would be, I'd be hard pressed, and I think you did a good job trying to connect that dot. I don't know that I could connect that dot if I didn't know directly how this got made. But what I think is important to note, another side of the story, is that not only was this collaboration about bringing together Stoneface beer with Hermit Woods wine barrels, and the product outcome that comes out of it, both on their side and ours, but also as part of this collaboration was a really tremendous learning and relationship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got an opportunity to be part of Stoneface in a unique way and to learn about the background of Stoneface, to get to meet the folks who started that business, and we when we were down there Saturday, we got to tour the facility, and Ken did that as well. He was down picking barrels, and we have a new relationship. We have new friends, and as part of that relationship, we'll benefit each other. We'll learn from each other, and we'll grow together into the future. And so it's not just about coming out with a product that is interesting and collaborative, but it's also about a relationship with people trying to do the same thing. They're trying to craft a unique and special beverage that's special to New Hampshire, that's special to Stoneface, and speaks about, as we like to say, the terroir of our part of the world. And I think we've done that.
I think it might be just as a matter of understanding what the relationship of the barrel is to this, would be to try their Saison ale.
Once that's not barrel aged, yeah.
They have to have it, right? They didn't. Their batches are huge. 2 barrels is not a batch of wine for them. So it would be interesting to do that, try that side by side. And what I would guess at this, like what happened to our wines when we get to them, is that it changed the mouthfeel. It changed the character. It made it softer, more mellow. And I'm guessing that this is more mellow than their red ale Saison.
I look forward to talking to Dan about it.
Yeah.
I bet you Dan has some pretty clear ideas about what the impact was. He certainly does, because he's tried them all.
Yeah.
And he makes them.
I remember, actually, now that we're talking about this, I remember when they were here for pond hockey. It was either pond hockey or fishing derby. They were one of the brewers that we had as guests here giving samples. And I remember them having another barrel-aged sour that I tasted then, and it was very good.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
The Reckless and Stoneface and
We had
I guess Twin Barns.
Twin Barns was here both weekends, and Concord Craft was here one of the 2 weekends, I think.
Yet another form of collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the collab thing. I agree. I had this epiphany. Where were we? Somewhere yesterday. Driving north from New York and from Boston, and I had a beer somewhere, and it was so good, and it was a New Hampshire beer. Like, we have awesome beer now. This is a new thing in our lifetime that went from, you could only buy the big 3 beers, and we're living in the greatest beer drinking.
It's growing.
It's growing. All right, I'm gonna pour some of this.
Yeah, get that in our glasses.
Uh,
Nice catch.
place on
Dark,
that's.
much darker.
How lucky are we to have people putting this effort into refining and making just a craft beverage that is really, really good. And the same thing with our wines. I think that this is the beer industry has sort of followed our mantra with wine. They're just doing unique things that are not being done elsewhere. And I think like nationwide, I mean the Lagunitas and all these things that have come up from the nowhere.
So this strikes a chord. We've talked about this before. But we live in one, from an alcohol craft beverage perspective, we live in one of the most exciting times in all of history.
Yeah.
For both reasons. One, for the first time in the last few years since Prohibition, the brewing industry has now more breweries than we had when Prohibition took effect.
That's the stuff.
It took 75 years to get back to the same number of breweries that existed back then. So there was this level of creativity and diversity going on back in the early part of this century. And probably, if you think about it, if you think about the way in which beer has evolved throughout our culture, that diversity was even greater when you consider the fact that beer was made in every household.
Yeah.
It was made by the household as a beverage, as well as a way to sterilize the water, and all kinds of interesting history around that. So yeah, we live in a really novel time right now. And combined with that, I read this great book on the history of wine, and one of the outcomes of that book was that the author pointed out that there has been no time in history where the average person can access wine of the quality that we can access, in the diversity and volume that we can access it, like never before. It's never been this good. It's only been the latter part of the 19th and early part of the 20th century that we've understood how to store our wine in such a way that we keep it healthy and keep it good and fresh and drinkable for time. With a few exceptions, of course, but for the most part, most people never got an opportunity to have fresh, well-made, well-stored wine. It's just we didn't have the transportation abilities and the storage abilities, and glass was, glass and cork stoppage is a relatively modern in the history of wine feature. So it's fascinating if you're interested in that topic. But that's enough on that. I've gone on and on. You've been smelling.
I want to talk about this.
digging in
So
on
Chuck,
this beer,
can you read us the back of this one?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So right. So this is Red Scare barrel. This is an amalgam. This is a sour red ale aged in Red Scare mead barrel for a year. They call it, their description is complex and tannic, tart berry, earthy sumac, and soft honey.
You said sour red ale?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
The other one was
this
say
is a
something. This one.
wild ale, so that means that it's wild fermented. Then. Yeah.
Is that like a cool ship? Was it done
With 3 months of rest conditioning in the bottle, like the other one. And it's 5. Again, it's not high alcohol. I think it's a 5. No, this one's higher. 6.8. 6.8. So this is higher alcohol. So this is a much sharper, sour beer.
And there's sumac.
And sumac.
That was
Oh,
an
yeah.
addition in the.
That was their addition.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Ken talked about this when we were on last week. I think that sumac was part of the beer when they made that beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
We
I like
used to
this
use
one.
We used to use sumac, and we would make a tea, and it added that really nice sort of tannic.
Yeah, that's where they mentioned the tannins.
Yeah.
That's where they're getting it.
Yeah.
And I just had a piece of sharp cheddar cheese. You should absolutely
I would
try
do that
a
next,
piece
yeah.
of sharp cheddar cheese with this beer. Typically, I'll be honest, this is not a beer that I usually go to. It's too sour and it's just a little too much for me. However, when I just had this with that sharp cheddar, it changed the whole game. I could really enjoy
It makes that sharp cheddar just bonkers, sharp and flavorful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So
together.
good. I like this one even more than the other one. I was talking about that sort of chemical-y flavor.
Yeah.
The first one has that a little bit, but it still works. It's good. This one doesn't get that at all. It's a little more sour, but it does. The aftertaste still, it gives me kind of that lingering, weedy, sort of bready beer flavor, which I very much enjoy with the sour ones that aren't just, tart fruit juice, fruity pebbles sours. I like ones that remind you, yes, this is beer. It's beer.
Yeah, I would say although I think Brett is a bacteria, that whatever the wild yeast were in here, it's has that sour without as much Brettanomyces kind of influence on it. But it's a bigger beer. I mean, it's got higher ABV, which means it has more stuff in it that is fermented with sugars, and so it makes everything more sour, more flavor, more fruity, more tannins. It all really sticks out. No, it's really good. It's not my style of beer, but I may become a convert with this.
Well, like we said earlier, right? If you drink enough of it, you'll develop a taste
That's
for
the
it.
key. It's the same thing as that first beer.
Yeah, I think it is the key. I wanted to clarify something. You mentioned Brett a couple times. I'm pretty sure that we can safely say Brett is not an actual bacteria in either of these beers because of the risk that Brett was in either of these beers.
They have a whole, Kim talked about this, they have a whole separate part of the brewery where they keep Brett. It's completely isolated and separate from the rest.
And did these end up in that space?
This one's actually, the first one has Brett.
Okay.
It says
Okay, good. Well, that's good. But
no,
they
Brett
would not be your favorite thing.
They are flavored with Brett, and they are very careful about it because it's one of those things that, like in the winery, you get Brett into your winery, and then all of your wines have that kind of Band-Aid thing that we all kind of like, but maybe people don't.
I like to call it barnyard.
But it's a bacteria.
I think the Band-Aid, I think when the barnyard gets too far, you get to the Band-Aid characteristics. I think done right.
That's the chemically thing, I think.
Yeah.
When Brett goes
Yeah.
then it's because it's just kind of Band-Aids are made out of what? I mean, plastic.
Yeah.
You don't like to drink plastic, do you?
So
Did we finish that bottle? Can I have a splash more of this one?
No. Same here. No, just kidding.
This is Rika's. This is her jam.
It is.
So does anybody get Red Scare and honey and all those things that came from
That's
our
good.
barrel?
I don't.
I don't really either.
No. You know what? This does bring to mind as I'm enjoying this with the cheese, and I truly am enjoying this with the cheese. I could sit and have a glass of this with a thing of cheese, just as an appetizer before dinner or something. And it reminds me of that book that Garrett, what's his name?
Oh, from
The brewer, Brewer, he wrote.
Brewmaster's Table.
Brewmaster's Table. I mean, he really does emphasize the importance of having the right beers with the right foods.
Yes.
And well, of course we know that in the wine business, right? You've got to have the right food, the right wine as well. And this is a perfect match for me. I'm so enjoying the two flavors.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just had the Colby with this as well.
Yes.
It doesn't make the Colby taste any better, but it really offsets the acidity.
Oh yeah, I just did the same. But for the record, not Colby. This is Sriracha.
Oh, that's a Sriracha?
Sriracha Winterdale.
I didn't even get that. It's a very mild.
It's
cheddar
very mild.
Sriracha.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I like this combo.
No, I think it's good.
I could drink this with this cheese all afternoon. That'd be dangerous. That's really good.
It's good with the Sriracha one. I wouldn't expect that one.
So another thing I'd like to point out too is that Stoneface, I think, makes some of the best beer in New Hampshire.
I've loved Stoneface from day one.
Yeah.
They're one of the older ones, yeah?
They're better.
They are, yeah.
13, 12.
They're
Oh, is that it?
older than we are. Honestly.
Okay.
They're younger than we are.
They're younger. Yeah, they started after.
Yeah, so they're sort of middle of the pack in
Yeah.
terms of the New Hampshire breweries, but but they've really gone at it well and done a really good job, I think. And it's the one thing, if I go into the store, there's always a time to go to the casing keg with 3,000 or 4,000 beers, and you want to have some fun experimenting with different beers from different breweries. And then there's the time to go to the casing keg and you want to get a beer you know you're going to love. And every time I go into a beer store, and I just want to guarantee I'm going to love my beer that night or that time. I pick up a Stoneface every time. It's always a sure bet.
Yeah, their IPAs. They had I think the first beer I fell in love with was a rye ale, maybe. I can't remember, was it an IPA? I think maybe it was a rye IPA. It wasn't much in distribution if you do it down at the brewery down in Newington. Just had that really nice balance of flavor, and then this little rye flavor in there that was just knocked me out. It was great. And I don't know if I haven't seen it for quite a while. Actually, if you're listening to Stoneface,
Makes more
more of the rye ale. I think it was rye ale. That's super good. But it is a go-to for sure. I mean, I see a can down here. I'm not sure this must be.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I mean, somehow it's a go-to for someone. And we sell here.
Yeah, right now, on our list right now, we've got the full clip New England IPA, and then just their classic Stoneface IPA, which is it's a little more of less of a hazy, juicy IPA, and a little more of the like hoppy bitter style, more of like the piney type.
I like the pine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to have either option because yes, there are definitely some people that prefer one over the other, so it's good to have both.
Yeah, good, great beer. I'm lucky to be in a collab with Stoneface. It's a fantastic thing.
So we have two more products here on the table.
Wine time.
Let me finish this.
Which was the one you poured? You poured the.
So I started us off with the Petite Blue Reserve,
Okay.
and
So this was
whiskey barrel. So whiskey.
that was a beer barrel.
Yeah.
Do you remember what kind of beer was made in that before?
Does it say? It might say on there.
Ken said the other day, this is something rye. So this is vintage and aged 7 months in rye whiskey barrels that were previously used as an imperial stout.
Okay,
So the imperial stout is a pretty dark,
High alcohol.
fairly high alcohol, but has all that bold, rich, burned chocolate, coffee kind of malts in it. That's just an awesome thing.
so oak barrel, yes.
Okay.
Oak, formerly whiskey, and then
Rye whiskey and then an imperial stout.
imperial stout. And in this case, Ken did not want the residual beer lingering in the barrel. So
He wanted the barrel more than the.
we did rinse the beer. Yeah.
But barrels are so porous.
Oh, clearly,
Yeah.
whatever character of whatever went into that barrel was expressed
Yeah.
in the wood. You can't
Oh,
deny
yeah.
it. So, and you'll see when you try it.
And this might be kind of what we were talking about with the beers that we'd like to be able to taste those beers not barrel aged, and I think for all of us, I know what Petite Blue Reserve tastes like normally, so I can immediately smell and taste the difference
Yeah,
here.
it's barrel aged as well in a mostly neutral wine barrel.
Yep.
So it doesn't have that
So was
imperial stout.
Did this
kind of-
do both?
I don't
That's my question.
think so, but Ken will have to answer that.
Yeah, because normally Petite Blue Reserve does go into an oak barrel for maybe 6 months.
It depends on how new the barrel is. At times, if it's a more neutral barrel, it'll go longer. We did get some new oak barrels, and they were shorter times, 2 or 3 months, because of the intensity of the oak.
And so this, I wonder if it was in those at all, or if it was just this
If I
special
had to
barrel.
guess, this was just the special barrel.
That makes sense.
But I don't know for sure. We'll have to get Ken's. He's driving right now, so he can't respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a different wine than Petite Blue Reserve. It has sort of I don't know, you said bourbony or something when we had this the other day. It has some sort of rich character in it that is a barrel addition that is not typical to me as a
Actually, yeah. So I think what I said the other day, I'm not sure. The red scale is much more prominent. The bourbon character, I find, comes off more dramatically in the red scale. This one, I find, it's more agglomerated, if you will. It's more
Like a general barrel-y.
It's come together really nicely in the way the barrel, the character of the barrel has infused itself in the wine.
Yeah, there's kind of a sweetness in there that's and Petite Blue Reserve is not sweet.
Bone dry.
Yeah, so it's sort of like a caramel character, something that you would expect out of a barrel. I would, I'd also kind of expect maybe sort of that dark chocolate. Bourbon malt that would be an imperial stout to have something in there. Maybe there's a little bit of that in the finish note. It's kind of dry in the tannins in the finish. There's a little, and those malts are kind of sweet, right? When they make sugar and beer turns into alcohol. So there's definitely an addition from that barrel that I really think makes this wine delicious, unique, different, and what a great cola! And never gonna happen again, right?
Nope.
Like this.
No, you can't anyway. Right?
Very limited edition. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if we had another collab, it would be different barrels. It would be different Petite Blue. It will be everything about it would be different.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the one.
We do have some dried blueberries there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Beers. Those are
I would love those little dried blueberries. They're so fantastic.
Almost like raisins.
Mm-hmm.
The blueberry version of raisins. I just think it's so funny. The blueberries and wild grapes are the two closest. The way they behave.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, I agree.
Adds a little bit of sweetness. It's nice.
Yeah.
Good combo. I feel like I smell the barrel as even more than I taste it some.
Yeah, it's kind of to me, it's kind of a bourbony thing that's in there. And particularly once I add a little sugar from the blueberry, it's really
Yeah,
you add,
I like that a little bit.
More flavor.
Mm-hmm.
More things jumped out with the studio audience. Studio audience.
Yes,
We can hear you.
sorry. It's a mistake. I'm sorry. It's an accident.
So one of the things that I think is important to talk about with this is unique and special, in relation to the fact that it's a special collab that we've done. But the thing that I like about wine, the most important thing that I like about wine is the diversity. It's no two bottles of wine are alike, and a lot of people look for they discover a wine they love and they just want to buy that wine over and over and over again, which seems so crazy to me. There's so many wonderful flavors and so many wonderful ways in which wine can pair with food that this brings in another set of characters and flavors that I can now sit at the dinner table with and explore new ideas and new ways to have this with food, new ways to enjoy it on its own. I just love that diversity, and that's what this represents to me.
Hermit Woods wine notwithstanding, you should only buy Hermit Woods wine and buy it every day. But other than that, I agree with you completely.
I don't follow that. First of all, I don't buy Hermit Woods wine.
Well, I know because we get it
Because
all
I
the
get it
time.
for free. But no, I like
You pay for it with plenty of work.
Well, we actually have all of our wine is always changing, and that is one thing that is absolutely true. But a Petite Blue, like our main things that we sell a lot, the Crab Apple, Petite Blue, the Whipsoccer Rosé, and Petite Blue Reserve to some extent, they're within this narrow band of.
That's right.
If you like whatever last year was, and Red Scare too, I think. You like last year's, you're going to like the next year, and because they always actually pretty much get better, right? age notwithstanding. I mean, red scare should probably sit for 10 years
Easily.
You know, so there's that. But as a fresh wine, they're all kind of within this very narrow bandwidth of flavor. That if you like one, you're going to continue to like whatever Ken's brought into the next generation, because it's always something that's in his mind that, oh, why don't we just do this? Or something comes up that the fruit changes from availability, or he gets a year where the blueberries have bricks that's 50% higher than the year before. I mean, we are making things from fruit, so whatever that fruit is going to be what the wine is flavor-wise in the next season. So,
But, you know, it's maybe inappropriate to divulge this, but I like to drink a wide diversity of alcohol.
I thought you were just going to end it as just, I would like to drink.
I like to drink.
No, so.
Well, yes,
So
but
two things. I find, first of all, that I like to,
beer, wine, and other
and spirits.
and spirits.
oh my
And not only
goodness, Bob.
that, I probably drink wine, if not every day, every other day, as part of some part of my experience. And it might be a Hermit Woods wine once every week or two.
Right.
And in between, there are lots and lots of other varieties of wines that come from all over the world.
Because you are a charter member of Garagiste Wine.
Well,
where all of your spare
that's-
dollars go
yeah.
to support this. There's a poor man with a huge warehouse out in Seattle. That
that's
travels
not.
the
That's,
world.
I was finding ways to
And
achieve
your
that
basement
goal long
is
before Garagiste.
full.
It's
of
full.
wine.
But am I not correct? Is this not the way in which you approach wine? And I think Ken also approaches wine. I mean, we drink wines from all over. We're
I always
always
drink Hermit Woods.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
He's lying.
Well, if I can't get
I've
if I,
been to
you know,
his
you can't get Hermit Woods
before.
in Dubai, for example. I was just in Dubai.
You can't get Hermit Woods in Dubai?
I have to talk
I think
about
you get
it.
everything in Dubai.
Not
You can
Hermit
ski
Woods.
in Dubai.
I went skiing in Dubai.
In the desert.
It was 103 degrees outside.
You can ski in Dubai, but you can't get Hermit Woods wine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's the matter with that?
We can work on that.
Very wrong.
We're gonna have to talk to somebody. We're gonna talk to somebody.
Next time you're there.
Yeah.
That's a
Maya.
Yeah.
Get on these, Maya.
It's interesting. So yeah, there is. I mean, there's so much variety of wine out there, and so much of it too doesn't travel. Like you have the stat, Bob, right? What percent of wine is from,
95% of the wine
only
made in
goes
the
within
world
a
never
few
leaves
miles.
50 miles of
Yeah,
where it's made.
that's what I needed. That's the
That's
stat.
almost all the wine in the
So
world.
you can't get some of the best wines in the world. You can only get if you go visit the place where it's made.
Exactly.
Which is both sad, but also it makes it sort of that much better when you do visit a place and get the wine that you can only get there.
Well, it's not
You should
sad.
travel.
Well, it's not sad in that because we've already, as we said, we have access. I mean, go to the liquor store. There's 3,000 varieties of wines.
No,
We have lots of choice. But when we travel, we get to experience wines we couldn't ever experience in New Hampshire. Because almost none of them come here.
well, think of our trip to South Africa.
Right. There's 5 wines from South Africa at the liquor store?
Yeah.
And there's 500 or 600 wineries making wine in South Africa.
Major wine production region of planet Earth.
Yeah.
And
And we discovered, all those I remember sort of had this sort of, South African wine's okay.
Because we
And,
have 5 of them.
Right,
shelves
exactly.
here.
and they're probably not representative of the best wines that they have. They're definitely not representative of the best wines because I
No,
had
they're the
some
ones that
amazing
can travel, still taste like they're supposed to taste, and be the price point that
and made at a
enough
volume that they
Right.
can make to deliver
like
wines.
the goats do Rome.
Yeah.
And that's a great wine. We went to the winery, and it was awesome. Like, it was one of the wines that I recognized, which is sort of embarrassing, I guess. But like I said, we don't have access to the best South African wines. And most of it goes to Europe anyway.
Yes.
They don't do a lot with the U.S. just because of shipping.
Sure makes it hard. So we're at less than 10 minutes, so we should get our
Yeah,
last
one more.
wine in our glasses. Ken has joined us too. He's
Oh, good.
he's tuning in for the last little bit.
What was the question we had for Ken? Was the Petite Reserve barrel aged in any other barrels or just the Colab barrel.
Oh yeah, see if you heard that. Thank you.
Studio audience. Quiet studio audience. Off their YouTube and TikTok and all that sort of stuff. So what do we have here? Oh, we have Red Scare. Right. So,
Which started out like one of my
Hermit Woods and Stoneface Brewing Company maple whiskey barrel aged Red Scare.
Well, this is fascinating in that it's a whiskey barrel. It's a barrel made out of maple instead of oak.
Yeah, unusual.
And a barrel that was oozing maple sugars the entire time it was in our cellar.
So
They did a barley wine in this one,
previously
right?
used For barley wine.
Yeah.
And I love barley wine. That is one of my favorite styles of beer.
Okay, Ken says he has to check his notes, but he thinks it was first aged in French oak and then the Stoneface barrel. So he does think it was in both.
So it's like
It might have been a timing thing, when he probably made Petite Blue and it was time to put it in barrels, so he probably put it in barrels to hold it for a bit until he got the Stoneface barrel.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Sounds all makes sense. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Matt mentions, he got a chance, he was one of those that got a chance to eat the little crystals of maple sap. I got some of those too. It was incredible that, who knows how old this barrel is. It's, it's
Gotta be
been,
multiple years.
it's
anyway.
been around for a while and it is still oozing maple sap,
Yeah.
which
That
is
is amazing.
incredible.
Yeah. And they toast these barrels. They put them over a fire. They dry the wood for sometimes a year or two before they make a barrel out of it. So
I think this is absolutely incredible.
Red Scare, first off, it's like one of my favorite reasons to be alive.
cheers to that. I have to agree with that.
I will cheers that.
Yes.
Cheers to Bonnie. Cheers to the audience. I know the audience feels the same.
Oh my God, it's so good. I mean, it's just versatile. And it's
Do you think Matt feels that way?
Oh, maybe just a touch.
What do you think, Matt?
I don't know.
He was drinking this in Bordeaux.
That's the only person who brings it.
Who brings Hermit Woods
to Bordeaux.
and scared of Bordeaux.
Nice. Ken's brother has joined us too now.
Oh.
Cheers.
Sure.
Welcome.
Yeah. Wow. So I hope they're not driving.
It might be one of them is.
No, I think they're driving tomorrow. They're going to drive from Buffalo to here tomorrow. I guess it's.
It's his brother.
Honestly, that's not too bad.
Oh, I don't know. He should.
He should. We haven't seen him in a decade or more. Did you hear that?
Love to meet you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's good.
So
this is so.
I'm going to backpedal.
There is no more of this, so you can all just talk amongst yourselves now. And I'm not going to get any comments about this because I just bought it all. The whole barrel, Matt.
I'm going to backpedal from what I said. So we talked about this not too long ago, and my initial response when I had the two side by side after they'd been bottled was that the Petite Blue Reserve seemed to come together better. Yeah. And I felt like the barrel, the whiskey characteristic came a little strong
It's
on
too
the
much.
Red Scare. I don't know if something's changed. I don't know if it's a different bottle, and that's why. I don't know what the reason is, but I'm going to flip on this one. Ken will be pleased to hear.
I like this one a little more.
This is the of the two hard to understand, right? Red Scare being the base of this wine, but this is, I think, the better of the two wines. It's more body.
Oh my God, it's great.
Everything about it. Yeah.
It's soft, it's rich, it's fruity, it's flavorful. It has elements of barrel and sweet. And
It's so complex, so much more complex than it is as just a Red Scare, which is already complex in and of itself. There's all these other things going on in here that and I'm not getting that overpowered sort of bourbon barrel characteristic out of this right now.
yeah. No.
I don't know where what, did we taste out of the barrel when I said that?
We tried it here, sitting here on Facebook Live. And the thing is that your palate is always a moving target, right? I mean, so we've been
and we
through
also
two
started
beers
these other
and
things. That's right.
Right. So your taste buds are always are always changing. And then flavors for me are incredibly suggestive. So if something triggers your brain to think, oh, I smell bourbon. Right now, I can just say that, and I can actually smell bourbon in my mind. Right. So it's really hard to be objective with flavors. It's so subjective and suggestive. So it's I think your experiences are going to change. But bottom line is, this is. I think it's maybe a little softer, maybe a little more together, like you say. This mouthfeel.
We've talked about bottle shock before, right? I mean, the last time we had this was pretty close to when it was put in the bottle, so it could be changing.
This will change.
Bottle shock happens from week to week. A wine can, you know about that phenomenon where you can bottle a wine and it goes into this stage where it's just ugly for a while, and then it comes back out of it. So who knows? Maybe that contributed.
Imagine this in 20 years. Marika, you're going to have to send a text message to the other side of the surly bounds and tell me how good this is in 20 years.
Yes.
Will you be alive in 20 years? Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll send a text to you.
30 years.
I'll send a text to you and say, hey Chuck, let's hang out and open a bottle of Red Scare.
We won't be texting back by then.
That's probably not. I'll ping you. I'll ping you directly and teleport to your home somewhere.
Your artificial intelligent assistant will
teleport.
Touch base with his artificial
You tell your
intelligent
AI,
assistant.
tell my AI how good this is in 30 years, and that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be able to sell.
What's fun is
Land
it's really
sailing.
good right now. Land sailing.
Yes.
It's a new
Land selling. What is that? You just sit on your boat.
No, we don't have enough time for another show.
Another show. That's true. We are down to our last few minutes. Could I have a splash for the last few minutes?
Any more? Did you have some?
She got underserved.
It's good.
Do we have any comments or questions from the audience that we've missed? Or we should address
Not
before
too
we
many.
go?
Yeah, we had a few late tuners in. We've got someone Valiant Thor just channel surfing stumbled upon our video.
Welcome. Thank
So
you.
awesome, great. Glad you could join us.
If you're here for the first time, if you go to hermitwoods.com, you'll find a link under the events tab, and you can see all of our former videos. We have them all listed. There's something like 150 shows.
Lots of fun
You can
stuff.
spend a lot of the rest of your life watching
Yes.
videos.
I don't recommend that, by the way.
Yeah, this is a little sketchy.
But you might
here
pop
and
in
there.
on one or two and see what's going on, find something interesting. But welcome anyway, and I hope we see you again on another Monday night.
So we had Matt and Lynn and Ken.
Matt and Lynn, Christine's birthday was yesterday. I already gave her a
Happy
birthday
birthday,
shout out.
Christine. Yes, I did
Priscilla
too.
had joined us. Jeff joined us. The Gary and Paula were on.
Oh, okay.
The usual crowd. Oh yeah, Matt and Lynn are driving today.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, it's nice to see you guys. It's the people that show up every week for this amaze me, because I can't even show up every week. On an airplane or doing whatever.
Well, you have a good excuse.
Yeah, but I mean,
Traveling around the planet. I
I
tend to
love
show up
that.
every
I
week.
love that you're interested enough to just come and see what sort of diatribe we're going to go off on for an hour. And I think what we have here is spectacular. And both the wines and the beers are well worth a visit to New Hampshire.
Absolutely. And to say it again, we've said it already once, but a huge shout out to all the folks down at Stoneface Brewing for the great work they're doing with all their beers and for trusting us and joining us in this collaboration. It was a lot of fun. It was a great learning experience, and we've developed some new relationships and new friends.
And it's going to happen again. And it's growing. This collab thing is sort of catching on, and there's a distillery.
Oh, and it's going onward. Yeah. So which of these one of these barrels that we had got passed on to Tamworth Distilling.
That was
so,
the maple barrel.
The maple barrel got passed on to Tamworth,
Two of them.
and they gave us barrels in return. So we've got more collaborations up ahead. I'm sure more
So we
collaborations
get
with
to do another
Stoneface.
show. Just like this in the
Yeah.
future with our new collab.
So are these some of these collabs going to be able to be available to Wine Club members? Is it something that will be a unique and fun thing for them to get? in there?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or do we make?
We don't have enough to go into a regular
I don't
release.
think we make enough.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of these ends up in the 2 bottle club.
The 2 bottle club.
That's
There's
that's
good
much
reason
more
to go
likely.
There you go.
Because the wine club, you need. We have like 500 members. That's 500 bottles. That's a lot of cases. And this is
Yeah,
only
I don't think these would
barrels.
go in a release, but we do certainly hope that club members will be able to come by and get a chance to get this. I'm assuming this is going to be, these wines are only going to be available in the shop. They won't be listed online.
Anybody who's interested in these wines, they're going to be available for the next few months. Beyond that, very questionable.
Yeah.
But they're going to be on the tasting. They're going to be this weekend.
This
They're gonna be
week,
tasted
on
this
Saturday,
weekend,
you can
but
taste them. I don't think, they probably won't go on the tasting
not be
menu.
on the tasting
Yeah.
menu, 'Cause there's
But
still
trust
some-
us, they're good.
So that, well, we're over.
We're over.
here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
So just another shout out for next week, summer will have begun in earnest. What is it, 2 days? We got summer. Summer starts in 2 days, right? So we're releasing
nice.
we're releasing summer in session, and we're gonna talk about that next week. It's gonna be fun. It's a great new product, which some of you will be learning about for the first time if you're new customers to Hermit Woods. And if you've been around for a while, you've probably had this before. But this particular one is, I can knock it out of the park, like he does every time.
Is this? I don't want to give anything away, but is this a mead?
It's a mead.
It's a
Session mead.
session.
Guess what, though?
Mead. It has blueberries in it.
Wow.
Mmm.
Because what crop comes up in summer?
Blueberries.
Blueberries. Yeah. So I hope you can join us for next week. Where Ken will be here, and are you going to be here next week? Or are you
No. I'll be in Geneva cycling.
And I actually think I might not be here. We have an event next week, so you might have to taste downstairs.
Okay.
And
Well,
I'll might be up
nonetheless,
here.
we will
But
see
there
you
was
next
something
week,
happening.
and we will have some wonderful new product to share with you. And until then, cheers, and thank you for once again spending your Monday evening with us here, drinking with us. We really appreciate it. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
See you next week.
All week.